What's up, guys? I'm just popping on live. I'm going to see what is going on. It is Friday. We are looking at some auctions and some buy it now listings and adjusting our searches and thinking of some different ways to do some buying. Some of the things I'm looking at are some different categories to look at. I'm trying to look at, I think right now, the collectibles category and see which subcategories of the collectibles category I might want to look at for buying that is not too cluttered and not too much junk. I'm also looking at the clothing category and maybe trying to pick a subcategory of the clothing category to see if there's anywhere I could find some deals. Right now, I am searching the entire jewelry category, the antiques category, and then a couple of like miscellaneous subcategories. And so I'm trying to set up the collectibles and clothing category to see. Let's look at the collectibles category. So the collectibles category consists of advertising, animals, animation, art and merchandise, arcade, jukeboxes and pinball, autographs, baby and nursery, banks, registers, and vending machines, beads, bottles and insulators, breweryana, beer, casino, collectible figures and supplies, comic books and memorabilia, credit charge cards, cultures and ethnicities, decorative collectibles, Disney stuff, emerging NFTs, fantasy, mythical, and magic, historical memorabilia, holiday and seasonal, jewelry, kitchen and home, knives, swords, and blades, lamps, lighting, linens and textiles, metalware, militaria, non-sport, stickers and collection, something, sport, non-sport trading cards, paper, pens and writing instruments, Pez keychains for promo glasses, phone cards, photographic images, pinbacks and lunch boxes, postcard supplies, and there's a lot. Rocks and fossils, science and medicine, sewing, souvenirs, tobacco stuff, transportation, virtual and crypto collectibles, wholesale lots, vintage, retro, mid-century. That might be an interesting category. Let's look at vintage, retro, mid-century. That's kind of an interesting one. 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, Bakelite, plastic, unspecified, unknown date. So that's an interesting category. So I'm going to go ahead and start looking for items in that category to kind of get an idea for that category. That one seems pretty interesting to me. Let's see if there's any other ones. Rocks and fossils, minerals. I kind of like minerals. Let's see. Knives, swords, and blades, and then jewelry. I think I already have the jewelry search up, but let's add that to our collectibles category. Yeah, I think I'm searching that jewelry one already. Let's see. It's a 162134 category code. I don't see it. I might have added that to the wrong thing. Let's see. Yeah, we need to add that to our collectibles search. All right, so that we're going to bring up on this view here. Start searching. See what comes up. See if it saved it. Yeah. Okay, so we should be live on that one. See if any results come in. I need to go back to Other view. So far, no results returning. So that's telling me those categories are not very active, which is fine. It just means I need to stack that search with more categories so that it's a little bit busier of a search. But we're also keeping an eye on active listings. Here's an eBay seller seeking jewelry. They're a pretty big jewelry company or person. So I'm going to go ahead and block them. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to block their store so that we just don't need to see their listings. 14 karat gold nugget style money clip. $5,000, a little too much for that. Some watches for repair, nothing there. Some knives. Case knives. So what view is this on? This is view. Okay. Getting confused because I've made a lot of adjustments to my searches today. All right, this is the view that I want. My jewelry one. Okay. Let's go back to results. So my new collectible search is not returning any results, so we need to fix that. That's on view 5. Could be a reason why. If there's anybody out there that does a category other than jewelry that is like a professional buyer, we'd definitely like to learn, what it is you look for specifically. Okay, so that's that collectibles. Let's see if there's any more. Let's do a collectibles 2. Collectibles number 2. Search. We are going to search for used condition. We'll go with used condition. Maybe sometimes 4 parts not working. Don't really search too much like seller refurbished or like new. We're just going to go with those for right now. We do need to change the dollar amount, maximum. All right, back to collectibles. We've got advertising. Looking for advertising could be interesting. Let's see, animation, art, and merchandise. Not too familiar. Let's see. Decorative collectibles, I'm not too interested in. I mean, the Disney stuff, maybe. Like, Disney could be good. I mean, Disney is big. But do I really want to look for Disney collectibles? Anybody out there look at Disney collectibles? I would like to know how much money there is in Disney collectibles. We'll check mark that one because I just want to see if that category is like really big or not. Look at kitchen and home. I'm imagining kitchen and home is a pretty big collectibles category. Lamps and lighting. I know there's some of you guys do lamps and lighting. So maybe there's one called metalware. What's in metalware? Aluminum, brass, bronze, cast iron, chrome, copper, other collectible metalware, silver plate, sterling silver. Okay, so we definitely want to search metalware. It's an interesting category. There's paper, booklets, brochures, calendars, correspondence, documents, ephemera, matchbox labels, menus, napkins, playing cards, scrapbooks, stationery, greeting cards. Maybe ephemera would be the only one I'm interested in. There's pens and writing instruments, calligraphy tools, desktop items, pens, pencils. So I do a little bit of pens and writing instruments. We'll add that one in. So we'll go with that for this category. We're going to put that result on the same search as the other one. that we just did for collectibles. So collectible 1, collectible 2 are currently on the same search to try and stack it to where we've got some flow of new listings coming in or some flow of search results, because currently there's nothing coming in on those, so they're just not quite active enough as what I would like. There's view 5, 2, view 7, view 4. Okay, it's coming in on view 6. Oh, this was clothing. So I still need to adjust my clothing search as well. So we'll go through that one as soon as I can get some more of this collectibles. Because it's funny, because when you put in collectibles as a whole, there's like a million results. But if you start putting in some of the collectible subcategories, there's very few results, which is interesting, because if there are good items that come in on these like kind of niche subcategories, that means it could be potentially easy to spot like a deal or whatever, because there's not that many results that come up in this specific subcategory. So if something is not, like if something's getting posted to a very specific subcategory, it's like for a reason. Like the person almost pre-selected that when they were listing to be posted into that subcategory, or like they just didn't take eBay's auto-corrected category, because I feel like eBay's auto-corrected category is going to put you into like the more popular search categories as possible, right? So like if there's a subcategory niche that's just not very popular, I don't think eBay would even recommend that many sale, like when you're doing your listings, to go into that category, because you're just not going to get as much visibility, and they want you to get as much visibility as possible. And so that's why when you search certain categories, you get a lot of results, but you're not getting necessarily the exact results you want. So it's this whole concept of going broad and going narrow, and searching what you do want to search for and excluding what you don't want to search for. So we're trying to piece together all these things that I do want to search for, but in categories that I'm not an expert in. And so that's really the key here, is I'm trying to figure out how to learn new categories without being flooded with too much. Like if I just search clothing, the entire category, I'm just gonna drown. It's way too difficult to search the entire clothing category. You got to search like a very specific niche, and then you can add in more. But if you're getting no results or not enough results, then you have to add in more. So it's kind of like this additive process of figuring out what type of stuff to search. So I'm trying to add in collectibles. I think what I'm going for right now is collectibles, clothing, and electronics. I think those are going to be the 3 categories that I'm looking for mostly. And these are all brand new concepts that I'm bringing in. So I am of course I do jewelry mostly, so most of my viewers and stuff are going to be jewelry people, but I think there's a lot of money to be made in other categories. And obviously people do make a lot of money selling things like clothing and electronics online, but I want to do it by buying from eBay and selling it back onto eBay, or buying it from eBay and selling it locally, or something along those lines. And so to do that, you have to search these niches and stuff, and search a lot of volume to find deals. Because I know it happens. It's just learning how to identify a good deal in a category you're not an expert in is a lot more difficult than doing one that you already know, obviously. And so I'm also just keeping a view on live auctions, because I did change up my searches a lot today to be a little bit more general, so it is a little bit more intense. I can't just like not pay attention to it. And so that's why I'm not always looking at the camera when I'm talking. I'm looking at my other monitors. I've got a lot of monitors going on. Okay, so that collectible search is still returning nothing, so we're going to have to add more to the collectible search. Okay, collectibles 2 didn't get added in. No, I do not want to buy that jacket. That's good. So that might be why those ones aren't coming in. That's collectibles 2. Okay, now collectibles 2 is live. We're supposed to Whitnauer Quartz Watch. No good. I did miss a couple of deals today because of some issues with my searches, and so I had to go on a call for like 2 hours to try and work through some of the bugs I was facing, and I think we worked out at least a portion of what some of my errors were. There were still a few issues that we weren't able to solve that we're going to try and solve. I'm going to have to make an appointment and set up a call, try and figure out more ways to find more items quickly all at the same time. So, okay, now we're starting to get a little bit of some results. We've got 2 Disney items that came in. I'm starting to see a little bit of the Disney section, which is interesting. I'm not sure if there's anybody that does Disney stuff. I'm looking at like a Disney princess backpack. This is a Walt Disney World Parks drawstring bag. Walt Disney World large long sleeve T-shirt. And I've got it set up to where I should be able to check the item statuses to see if any are selling. And that's what's kind of interesting. I've got some military stuff set up here. Got a Puma Hunter's Pal Stag Germany knife, $167. The Puma Hunter Pal is kind of the smaller size for fixed blade knife, if anybody does fixed blade knives. Solid brass pistol black powder thing, door knocker, cat brooch, Sarah Coventry. Nothing interesting. Vintage original Randotti 1976 Haunted Mansion Vulture plaque. So that's interesting. Randotti 1976 Vulture plaque. I'm guessing this is like maybe a vintage store item. 1976 Haunted Mansion. So we're gonna search that because I'm not familiar. Here's another one for sale. Okay, so there's another one for sale right now for $110. So, and it glows in the dark. That's pretty cool. But we can tell that this person has theirs priced at $90. It's got a little bit of damage, so it's not something that we would want to buy for resale. But we'll keep looking. I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, I could see certain portions of the Disney category being pretty good, like vintage Disney items I've seen at auction before, and I know they can go for a lot of money. Topo Chico Lime. That's one of my favorite drinks. It tastes like a 7-Up, but with no sugar, caffeine, or anything in it. Some vintage flower enamel metal pins. Civivi flipper knife, good. Primitive crow dolls with red, white, and blue. Chinese embroidered silk rank badge. Not familiar. There's a Tiffany toggle bracelet, $500, or toggle necklace, $500. Too much for me. All right, let's see if we can go add in some more searches. I like this, though. I like this collectibles category, and it's not too fast. When I was talking about this with someone, was talking about the searches, and he said, well, wouldn't this return too many results? I'm like, you would think it would return too many results? by searching these like whole categories of collectibles or something, it doesn't really return as many results as you would think. There's only a couple of categories that return too many results for you to like be able to process. Stuff like football cards, basketball cards, like any kind of playing like sports cards is very hard to search because people just list, every single store has like thousands of cards. It's hard to process through all of that. It's just, I think there's a lot of money to be made doing sports cards, because as far as the research that I have found is that sports memorabilia, trading cards, trading card singles, and collectible card game cards are some of the most sold items on eBay. Is sports cards, because there's that huge volume, and obviously your average selling price on a sports card business is probably not that high. And I've tried looking at maybe only graded cards like PSA sports cards only. Even that has a lot of results, like a lot more than you would think. So it's very interesting how certain categories are broken down. Is that there are things that you think there would be a lot of and there isn't, and then there's things that you think that there wouldn't be a lot of and there's a ton of. So it's definitely eye-opening when you start looking into the categories on eBay. Were you in banking then? Yeah, I used to work at a bank. I haven't worked at the bank in, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years, something like that. But yeah, that's me. I'm still buying jewelry. Still buy tons of it. I just did a video yesterday on some auction stuff that I bought, and now I'm trying to. Well, I'm still looking for jewelry right now, and then I'm looking at other categories. I'm working through in my head. That's why I'm live right now. Is I'm working through in my head how I'm going to improve my business and improve what I'm doing, and I think this same concept can apply to a lot of different categories. So I've been talking about that, and so that's what I'm testing. And I have only recently figured out ways to which I can test categories, and I can verify sold information. And so I figured out how I can now potentially start learning, right? I can learn my learn new categories in a efficient way that makes sense, because now I can test the category, I can limit how much I'm searching, I can add to my search, I can verify what's selling, I can verify why, like check out why it's selling and everything like that. So I've figured out a process that I think is going to help me learn new categories. What do you pay for 14 karat a gram today? So it never changed. I guess it never really changes. But well, I'll just tell you. Okay, 1 gram right now. When you go on to goldcalc.com, 1 gram of 14 karat is $47.12. That is based off of usually the bid price on the price of gold, and it's usually a delayed bid price. So this is probably 15 minutes old, I would guess. It could be older. So the goldcalc.com price is not always exactly perfect. Little pro tip there is that sometimes you can take advantage of when gold prices are moving and people are still using older GoldCalc prices to price their items on eBay. You can sometimes get some deals that you otherwise wouldn't have because gold prices have moved up, whereas the gold price on GoldCalc hasn't changed. So little tip there. So anyway, it's $47.12 is per gram. So I would pay, it depends on what it is. It depends on how much we're doing. I pay more if it's like $1,000 plus, and I'm going to pay less if it's like under like $500. I'm paying you a lower percentage because there's just not enough dollar amount, because my margins are very small. So anyway, I would pay somewhere between $41. somewhere between $41 and $43 per gram currently. So it's a full spot price of $47.12. I would pay you somewhere between 40 and 43, depending on the volume and the quality. Like if we're talking $5,000 worth of 18 karat gold, it's a lot different than $200 worth of 10 karat gold. Depends on stones, things like that. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. I would pay something like that, 41 to 43, 40 to $43 on a 47 spot, because I'm not getting spot price. So there, you never get full spot. There's a bid ask spread on the price of gold. So your refiner is going to pay you on the bid. And if gold prices moved up recently, they may pay you on the bid on a delay as well, even when you're getting paid out, because they have to worry about when they move it to their buyer or to go to a refinery at scale, is they have to worry about what they're going to pay out, because nobody's paying the current high live, ask price on gold. So there's that. Then there is gas or melt fees or whatever you want to call it. So there's a fee to have the bar melted, unless you melt it yourself. And sometimes even if you melt it yourself, you still got to pay a fee. And then there is an assay fee. So that's going to be checking the purity of the bar. That's where they drill the bar, melt down a bead, test that bead, something along that process to get an average carat for the bar. So they're going to charge you a fee for the assay. And then there's just getting it there, gas and whatever. So that makes up a lot of the difference. And then I just make, my little percentage off of it. I could sell some jewelry. I'm in north central Illinois, 100 miles west of Chicago. Not sure what you're asking. My email is available. It's thrifthunter. What is it? thrifthunter4u@gmail, I think. It's just like my eBay name at Gmail. And if anybody wants to, you can send me pictures of what you got. Send me on a scale, whatever. I'll work it out with you and send you whatever you need. A label. Send you the. It depends on how long I've done business with you. If it's first time thing, I usually like to receive the items first and then I pay out. But obviously with some customers, I've been doing business with them for years, so I just pay them and they send me the stuff. It's not a big deal. 4 wings, bracelet, chains, get my head around dealing, understand the premise. Are there usually 1 minute ads? I don't know. I don't set any of the things on here. I literally just press go live and next until it goes live. I mean, I really don't put that much effort into figuring out all this YouTube streaming stuff. I've got 3 viewers. I'm chilling. I'm just here doing my thing. But yeah, I would recommend emailing me if you want to sell any of your stuff. It's usually a lot more of a favor. I do a lot of favors for people when I buy their stuff most of the time. Unless you're like a recurring, what I'm looking for is recurring business, really. If it's like a one-time thing, it's like, right. But, on $1,000, I make under $50. So it's not really like anything crazy, but I'm happy to do it. I mean, I take any business. So hopefully that helps answer your question. I don't know what you're saying about you can't get your head around this type of dealing. It's not, I mean, I guess, yeah, it's a business. I'm different. I'm different than your typical jewelry person. That most people that get into jewelry like jewelry and like to wear jewelry and like the history of the jewelry and like all the stuff. It's not as many people that are purely like, I still like the stuff, but I'm more purely into the numbers and business and returns and that sort of thing. I'm very, very much more of a hardline kind of fur trader type of dealer, I guess, which is not very common in this industry. I honestly don't know very many people in the world that have like the same kind of uh, mentality around the jewelry business specifically. I think a lot of people that get into the jewelry business are more interested in like part collecting, part like selling to support their collecting type of thing. I think is more how a lot more people typically get into it. I don't like keep anything or wear any of it or anything like that. You always seem to appreciate that some jewelry is art. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. Um, there's a lot of the I love all that kind of stuff, but it's not like I don't have like an emotional connection to it. You know, some people it's their mother wore this jewelry or the Victorian morning jewelry with the locket of hair and it tells this whole romantic story of a loved one and all that stuff. Just yeah, it's not what I'm about with it as far as like the craftsmanship and the detail and the quality of work that used to occur 100 years ago that doesn't occur now is definitely something I can appreciate. I can because I've personally like worked on jewelry or I personally tried to make jewelry or whatever, and so I can appreciate the amount of detail and quality and hours and time it takes to actually make something. So like yeah, I definitely value things in that way. Let's see. You found some beautiful stuff, very different than Midwest style. Yeah, I guess when I was buying like more locally, now I buy all over the U.S. I would say like majority of the stuff I buy now comes from like Florida, New York, um, New Mexico, like a lot of East Coast. Just like I guess you would think of wherever all the jewelry capitals that you could think of, like Austin, Texas, like all the places where jewelry is most common is where most of my stuff comes from. But I get it from all over the U.S. and I'm trying to buy more internationally. I've turned off most of my international stuff just because I've been adjusting my searches, but I think international stuff is going to come back into the equation. What is this? Oh, this is a 18 karat gold custom made ruby tie tack. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep searching and working on my strategy to buy everything. I'm trying to search new categories. I'm trying to search more of the brand new auctions as they're being listed. I definitely know that there is a large amount of auctions that I'm not viewing on eBay and other places that I think can be profitable, but the volume on auctions is so difficult and the margins are so slim at auction. It's a lot harder at auction. I do like the buy it nows better, but I think there's opportunity in auctions, and I know because I've bought a few things at auction, even recently, that have worked out. So searching more of the either ending soonest auctions or the newly listed auctions. You can search both ends of that for auctions, which is a little bit of a weird thing. Is you can search everything coming in new that's going to end in like a week, and then you can search everything that's ending, say today, and you can look at stuff that has bids, stuff that doesn't have bids. There's definitely a strategy around auctions, and then you can set up your bid sniping programs to put in your bids in the last couple seconds of those auctions. And my goal is to be able to do that basically around the clock is what I want to be doing is submitting because you can submit your bid snipes in advance, a week in advance. So ideally, I'd like to have the next week, the next 2 weeks, or whatever, probably each week, have my bids in for every auction on anything I might be interested in buying already set up ahead of time. So that way I can just search for the auctions potentially like one day a week and set up the entire week's worth of auctions. And then I could move on from, say, that would be enough to cover eBay auctions. Then I could move on to something like Etsy or move on to Mercari, Poshmark, like all the other places to search their brand new listings. Part of the problem with some of the other websites is their volume is a lot lower and their search engines are not as complicated or as well designed as eBay's is, so they're a little bit trickier to filter. And so I haven't had that much luck buying from other websites. Like, what did I look at? I think I looked at Mercari. And I looked at Mercari for probably like 14 karat scrap gold or 14 karat gold or something like that. I looked on Mercari on new listings, and I think there was maybe like 8 a day or 10 a day. I don't know if anybody is too familiar with trying to buy stuff from Mercari. It doesn't seem that active. I mean, I think eBay jewelry category on 14 karat gold probably gets 25,000, 50,000 or more new listings per day. But on Mercari, there just doesn't seem to be like there's like 10 results for the day, that's why I kind of stopped. Hey Gina, when did I get on? 36 minutes ago, it says. I just popped on because I just had a conversation with one of the developers of some programs that I use, and we chatted about some of the different issues I'm having, some of the different categories I'm searching for, how I'm searching for them, like maybe some changes I could make, what my filters look like, if I should remove any of those filters, like if there's anything on his end that he could do to improve how things look. One of the things that he did for me was to add it so that I could have the program recheck for the status of items so that if they are sold, they will highlight. And so I can see items that are sold in real time so I can find out who, like, what items are also getting bought as soon as they're listed. If that makes sense. So that's something that I think I'm going to be able to use as a tool to help me learn new categories. And so I'm looking at some new categories right now. We've got a Disney shirt that came in. There's like a Disney doll, Disney quartz watch, Mickey Mouse watch, Pirates of the Caribbean alarm. Yeah, so I'm trying to look at this Disney section, different collectibles. There's a way to notify all your viewers 30 minutes before you go live. I know. I could schedule it too, but like, yeah, I'm just going live whenever. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't get, like, I don't know. I'm just here to talk myself out. Like, and if people want to listen to it, it's cool. You know, like, it's just I needed to hop on because I needed to talk through what it is I'm trying to do with my strategy. And I'm hoping in the future maybe somebody will comment on this and have some kind of idea or some kind of lead that's going to help me go to the direction that I'm trying to go in. That's what I'm trying to get out of live streaming. It's just ideas of what I might be missing, because I'm trying to think through this global buying strategy that I'm working on. For a seller, is it better eBay or Etsy? Have both long-term accounts but inactive. Like to start again. Guess it depends on what you're selling and what your customers look like and how much like which form you like better. Like some of it's just a little bit of preference. I think Etsy is better on a fees basis. They are definitely a little bit cheaper for jewelry, for like fine jewelry or something like that. I would say eBay is a much better market because eBay, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but from eBay to Etsy, I want to say eBay is like 4 times larger than Etsy. I think Etsy has like around 30 million active users, I think. Let's see. Etsy active users. Okay. As of December 2023, Etsy had over 96 million active buyers and 9 million active sellers globally. So let's check eBay active users. And eBay has 132 million active buyers. So that's a different statement. Let's see. It doesn't say active users. This is active buyers of 132 million. So eBay has generated over $9.7 billion in sales, sitting 6th in the position of global online marketplaces as of 2023 second quarter. eBay has over 135 million active users worldwide. More than 18.3 million seller accounts are listed on eBay. So 18.3 million sellers, where Etsy has, for active sellers, 9 million active sellers. You can see eBay is about double the size on the sellers, and it's maybe 30 or 40% larger on buyers. I would imagine it's probably more than that. So just looking at a marketplace, eBay has a larger marketplace than Etsy, and that's one of the reasons why I focus on eBay. And it's also one of the reasons why I'm trying to at least start some sort of an Amazon business, because Amazon is I believe, is the #1 online marketplace. And so if you can get to the point where you can buy and sell on Amazon, you're in the best place because that's the #1. Ideally, you would want to be in like the top 5 or 6 or 7, like you want to be on all of them to capture as many eyeballs as possible. 1 second, we've got a 29.3 grams 14 karat gold bracelet that just got listed. It's $1,380 scrap. We're going to offer them $1,225. They have it listed for $1,400. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can send them an offer. Okay, we've sent them an offer. Oh, that's from, okay, I know who this seller is. This is that same person who's probably not going to take my offer because I don't pay enough for them. I think they only take offers around 94%, which is too high for me. Yeah, so there's a lot I've learned about how, at least for selling, I guess a lot of you would be interested in the selling portion. I don't personally do as much selling as I should because I do handle a lot of scrap jewelry, so I do just melt a lot of it. But for selling, it's this thing of impressions, right? Impressions, and then there's clicks, and then there's like purchases or whatever. It's this funnel, right? You have like impressions, people who click through, people who stayed longer than 30 seconds, people, whatever, right? There's like this funnel, sales funnel. And what you want to do is increase the top part as much as possible so that you get more sales at the bottom part, right? And so the way you do that is through a lot of different ways. On eBay and Etsy and stuff, it's about how your titles, how your pictures are done, how your description is done, how your form is filled out, how searched your item is, and everything. I was able to like triple my impressions by changing a lot of the ways I did all of those things. So, like, that is something that new sellers, is a huge mistake that they make, is that they think they can be lazy about the description, they can be lazy about the title, they can be lazy with the pictures, they can do them, push for speed instead of quality. That is completely the wrong way to do it. The right way to do it is to do less listings if you have to, and do them for higher quality, because your impressions will go up 10 times what it is if you do a poor job at doing the listing. And so one of those things you can say is pictures. Pictures, having good quality pictures is something that most people fail at. And so to take good pictures, there's a couple of different tips, right? There's cropping, centering, right? So you want the item to be in the center of the picture and perfectly centered, not too far up, too far down. And then you need a certain amount of a border around that picture, around that item. So you need some negative space around the item, because the way images get cropped on websites and depending on how they're viewed. So an image will show up differently on eBay mobile, on this different size monitor, on Safari or Chrome or Firefox if you're using a different browser. All of these images will get cropped differently when you're searching for them. And so you need all of this negative space so that if the image gets cropped in tighter, or like mostly tighter, or it gets squished to where it's longer or whatever for the format that someone is viewing it in, you need to have all that negative space so that part of your image isn't getting cropped off. A lot of people don't even think about that, and so you're going, why am I not getting any sales? Well, on mobile, all of your images are cut in half and you don't even realize it, right? So that's one thing. There's taking pictures with different colored backgrounds. You need a white background, a black background, a tan background, a blue background, all different colored backgrounds, because some people want to see them on different colored backgrounds. There's taking different, using different props. So that's one of the new things that I did recently, was I added in all different kinds of props. That's going to be necklace displays, earring displays. I have a fake hand display or whatever, right? An ear display, whatever it is. You add in. You need all of those displays to take good quality pictures. You need all of them, and you need all different types of trays and whatever to display these things. That makes a big difference. There are things like with earrings, one of the things I didn't know is that if you take a picture with earrings spaced too far apart, that is a bad picture, because people are looking at the center. So a lot of times you think, oh, I need to take a picture of the earrings like they would be on somebody's ears, so I'm going to do the picture of them spaced far apart. But ideally, for your main picture, you need them close together so that you can get the whole image larger, and it views larger with that negative space, but they're closer together, so you're getting a better frame for those pictures. Do you buy more in person or online? I buy it online only, 100% online. The only time I buy in person is like for fun. Usually, like if I'm bored, I'll go out and go to some garage sales or something, just because I like doing it from time to time. Not that often, but or I'll go to an estate sale just because it seems like fun. But I don't buy in person at all. Zero anymore. I don't recommend it. It's a lot easier to buy online. There's just more out there than I can possibly even look at online. Whereas if I go out in person, you have to drive really far. You'd spend all this time. There's too much ground to cover when you go out in person. So, but I will to make connections or for different purposes than what I used to do. I don't go out specifically for buying in person anymore. But for listings, some other improvements people can do is probably descriptions. Descriptions need to be like you just typed out an entire page. Basically, you need all of your descriptions should be 1,000-word essays. They shouldn't be 2-sentence descriptions. Those do horribly for search engines, which is what all of these selling websites are. And same thing for Google or whatever, because you have to understand about how eBay markets your stuff. A lot of times comes from Google or from Facebook. They actually place your item in like on other websites to drive traffic to eBay. eBay has to do their own advertising as well to bring customers in. And so if you don't have a good enough description, they can't push that to marketers. Marketers will actually decline to accept your item for their website because the description is not filled out enough. And so you could just be losing marketing share because you left out a single item specific. There's an item specific that lists bracelet and it lists the size. If you don't list that bracelet size in that item specific, your item may get declined for advertising purposes across other websites that eBay is using to drive traffic to your listing. And so that will decrease the number of impressions you're going to get. And so if you can make sure you are filling out the description, and the way I do this is I use ChatGPT, and you just go to whatever it is, OpenAI, open.ai, ChatGPT, whatever. Google it, you find it. And you get a search box that you put in, write eBay description for, and then you put in your title. And ChatGPT will put out a one-page essay reformatting your title in as many ways as possible. And that strategy works very well if you want to do listings quickly and you're like a little bit lazy. If you want to make it better, you can take what ChatGPT does and fill it out even more. And you will jump to the very top of search ranking for that item 100% of the time, pretty much by just doing copy and paste of the ChatGPT versus writing a 1 or 2 sentence description. You will go to the very top of search results, and it will triple your impressions and eventually lead to more sales. And you guys just got to understand that the bar is so low on these websites for selling. It just takes time, which is, the hardest part for me is just not having enough time. But as far as like anybody out there who says that has a 500 item store or 1,000 item store or something, and they are having a difficult time selling, they need to go back through their listings and change all of them. And I can guarantee you, I could go into their listings and find issues. If someone is saying, "Oh, my sales have decreased," or "This weekend was bad," or something like that, no, your listings are bad. That's what the problem is, right? You need to go through and fix all of your listings because I had to do it. I have 50 items in my store or whatever. I have like 40 items in my store. I've gone through and reposted those same items 3 different times to make them better each time. So it's, there's the obvious, right? There's just camera quality, there's lighting quality, there's props, there's backgrounds, there's cropping and framing, then there's title, then there's description, then there's item specifics, right? So if you fill out all of those things properly across all of your listings and you have 500, 600 listings, then you can be sure, and you can go on eBay and type in for your item and see if you're at the top of the results. If you're at the bottom of the results, you're never going to sell that item. It's just not going to happen. You need to be at the top of the results. And then there's also price. And so one of the things I didn't understand maybe 6 months ago when I was doing a bunch of selling was that what do you price your item at, right, to make it sell quickly? Well, you just need to be cheaper than the competition. That's how you figure out your pricing. So if an item you see, you type in your item and you see there's one listed at $80, you can charge $78. And you are now the cheapest price of that listing, and you don't need to price it any cheaper. Don't go into the listing and price it at $60 because you think, oh, this $80 price is ridiculous. Doesn't matter. As long as you're the lowest on the market, you're the number one choice. So anyone searching for that item is going to most likely choose your item if they're going to buy it. Like you're going to convert the sale if you have your listing done correctly, and then you are the cheapest price. So that was definitely something I was doing wrong, because I would have something like a, let's say a 14 karat gold diamond and sapphire bracelet, tennis bracelet. And you search those terms on eBay and the cheapest price one is $800. I bought this item at scrap or I bought it under scrap or whatever for $360. Let's just say. I'm happy to get a sale at $600, right? Because I'm still making money on it and I want it to sell as quickly as possible. So I'm going to price it at $600. Somebody's going to jump on that deal immediately and I'm going to sell it through and move my money quicker. That's not actually how it works. Your likelihood of selling at the $775 is just as likely at the $600 because you're still the cheapest on the market and you're still converting the same buyers searching for the same terms. So I definitely made that mistake as well, is where I priced things too low because I thought that that would help me convert sales quicker. But that's not the case. As long as you're at the top of the search ranking and you're the lowest price, you have the best odds of selling that item that you're going to get. And so you want to price it as high as possible because then that improves your margins. So that's a tip there for trying to improve like your average selling price, is looking at, you always have to look at where the competition is listed at, get a higher search ranking than them by filling out your form and doing your description and using more keywords and doing better pictures and that sort of thing as best you can, right? There's some professionals out there you just can't beat because they're just that good, because they put that much effort into taking, professional photos and everything. But I would say 99% of the time, I see people on YouTube saying, "Oh, my sales are slow, this, that, the other." I go into their eBay store, look at their eBay store, and I go, "Wow, your pictures are terrible. I would never buy anything from you." And that's usually the case, more often than not. Oh, hey, I just bought some gold nuggets. That was an interesting one. That's one of those obscure search terms that maybe most people aren't searching for, is gold nuggets, right? Like that's kind of like a weird category. So I just bought from the seller. They actually listed, so it's 13.88 grams of gold nuggets. It's like flakes and it's just from gold panning. It's from their personal collection, whatever. Gold nuggets, it depends on the carat of the gold nuggets of whether or not this was a good deal, but I think it's a good deal because of the price I paid. They had this posted at $900, which is and it's 13.88 grams. Gold nuggets, typically, if you were a retail seller of gold nuggets, like for people who sell pay dirt packs, I don't know how familiar everybody is with this whole thing, but they typically sell at $100 a gram. $100 a gram is like a pretty standard price for gold nuggets if you're looking to buy it like commercially for putting into pay dirt bags or whatever. And so seeing 13.88 at $900 got me interested because gold nuggets are typically in the range of 18 to up to around 24 karat, but usually like 22 karat. 18 to 22 karat is your typical gold nugget carat, and it depends on which location it was found at. In California and Alaska, for example, your typical carats are more towards that 22 karat, just because there's not as much like quartz, like there's not as much gold in quartz in those areas. It's more so like river gold or something like that, like river gold that's been washed over and the rock has been removed, so it's a little bit more pure of a gold. And so I just offer them $800 to see, because at $800, 13.88 grams, $800, I am around break even if it's 18 karat gold. And then if it's 22 karat gold, when I get it melted and assayed, that would be at $1,027. And so I would make $200 or a little bit less than that after fees and everything. I would make like $160, $170. So my risk is a break even and my potential profit is somewhere around $150. And so that's a 100% must take scenario. And there you go. There's a deal on something a little bit more obscure that most people probably aren't searching for. This was made through a best offer, which is also something that not as many people are doing. And there you go. I was able to get a little bit more of an obscure deal. Here's an 11.93 gram gold chain coming in at $500. It's a 560 scrap. This is a one feedback seller, but that's okay. So 504 out of 560 is a 90% price, so we will pay that. No thanks, I don't want to try any coupon codes. Okay, so we just bought a 14K gold rope necklace at 11.93 grams for $504. That was a current 11.9, 560. Yeah, so that was a 90% buy, which is, pretty much towards the top end of what I'd like to pay. It's also a one feedback seller, but it seems like the item itself is legitimate, and so that's what matters. So, yeah, there's no problem. And this will go to the authenticator as well. I don't know why a $500 rope chain goes to an authenticator, but it is what it is. So there's a purchase there, potential profit of around $25. You're not concerned about the no feedback? I'm concerned about the item itself, right? So the low feedback is just telling me that I need to be concerned about the item specifics, the description, the item itself, making sure I need to take a couple extra seconds to make sure that the item is legitimate. That's what that low feedback is for. But as far as is that seller any different than any other seller? No, it's not any different. Especially at $500, it's okay. If it was a one feedback seller at a $5,000 price point, I would probably pass even if the item looked legitimate, because that's just too high value of an item. Because what is happening there typically is they are stealing somebody else's listing, reposting it on a new account. But this is just a rope chain. It's something more commonly available that would make sense for a new seller to sell. They've got a gold rope chain. They need to sell it. They went to the pawn shop. Pawn shop offered them nothing. They can't figure out where to sell it. They're like, okay, I'm going to make an eBay account and put my gold chain on. And that's does happen as well. If there's any issues on this type of a sale, I'm completely protected by eBay. I have return rights. It's going to go to an authenticator that's going to guarantee me that it's 14 karat. So there is zero risk involved in that purchase, other than, the only thing I have to worry about probably is the gold price on the market changing to where if gold price goes down more than 5%, I end up breaking even. Anything below that, I would end up losing money on the time it takes to get here. Have you tried Goodwill Online and other auction sites, or is eBay just the best? Is that what you're saying? Let me see. There's like an emote thing over your words, but so yeah, I have tried. How do you estimate? Hold on, let me catch up on some of these. How do you estimate what you spend on inventory? How much do you estimate you spend on inventory on average each month? What am I at right now? Maybe 40,000 a month, maybe. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But I aim for spending 10,000 a week is what I try to do. But I don't always work every day, and I don't always it fluctuates, And I'm trying to improve it. I'm trying to get more than that. But yeah, currently probably around 10,000 a week, and that's that could be 3 items. I mean, it's really not that crazy. I really wanted to get to. I'd like to get to 1 million a day if I could. So are you let's see. Okay, we answered that one. Have you tried Goodwill? Okay, so yes, I have tried Goodwill online. I do like Goodwill online. I think there's a lot of opportunity to buy from the Goodwill online. The auctions on scrap gold specifically are too high for me in most cases. So on Goodwill.com, what you would be looking for is designer hallmarks and stuff that's interesting, that stands out, that you could resell as a piece, or that's just has diamonds in it or something like that, or that you could buy at a scrap price. As far as buying just like scrap gold and scrap silver, I would say the market on Goodwill is pretty competitive for those things. Not always, but it typically is. The second thing about Goodwill is there is a lot of results that are harder to search through and take more time to search through. One of the things that I did was buy the costume jewelry lots that they sell by the pound on Goodwill auctions, and they sell how many do they sell? Maybe 100 to 200 a day or something like that of costume jewelry by the pound lots. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's only certain days of the week. I don't remember exactly on Goodwill because I haven't been on there in a little while. Sort of. The thing is with those is like you kind of go, okay, here's a 26 grams, 14 karat gold listing that just came in for $1,100. This is a 1225 scrap price. This is 1,100 out of 1225 is again a 90% buy price, so we're going to buy this one as well. And it's a $25 shipping. That's okay. All right, so we've gone ahead and purchased that one. This is a 14K gold necklaces, estate jewelry, 26 grams. It looks like it's just some chains. They've got it on scale that is not meant for weighing jewelry. That is a 5,000 gram to 1 gram accuracy scale. So it says 26 grams. We're hoping it's 26. It could be 27. It could be 25 or somewhere in between because that's not exactly super accurate. But we're okay with that. $1,125 purchase price shipped. Again, going to an authenticator. That is $1,125 out of a $1,225 scrap. That's a 91.8% purchase price, which is okay. Again, it's around the top end of the range, but it's a larger lot for like over $1,000. So if it's over $1,000, I'm willing to push to a higher price, especially when we're, looking to aggregate everything together. So I would make somewhere around 4% on this one, which is very low, but it's $49. It's a $49 profit on one item. It took me about 10 seconds. We're done. That's it. So yeah, eBay is better because of the way its search engine is put together, the way its categories and filtering is put together is a lot easier to use and manipulate, and it's a lot easier to search auctions and buy it nows and stuff. Whereas the Goodwill, the costume jewelry lots, let's say there's 100 of them a day, to go through all of those pictures is very strenuous. It is it's hard on your eyes and it's hard on your decision making, because with costume jewelry, the way that the pictures are set up, if it's like 25 pounds of costume jewelry, you have to like zoom in and look at each one and kind of be like, okay, could that be silver? Could that piece be real? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like, the quality of this lot looks pretty good. Okay, so how much am I willing to bid on it? Okay, it's already bid up to $300, and I don't know if that piece is actually gold or not. So should I bid $400? Like, is it worth it? So there's a lot more of a decision process being made on those items, because you're like kind of gambling. Like, it's a little bit more gambly because you're having to spend more money, because I don't know if anyone's gone out there and looked at these costume jewelry lots on Shop Goodwill, but they're expensive. I'm talking a 40-pound costume jewelry lot could be $1,000 depending on what's in it. And so you are risking a lot more money. I definitely like situations where my risk is much lower and my reward is much higher, right? So I've said this before. I buy on a much more conservative basis than I even should, because there is so much opportunity out there. I dial back my risk tolerance because there is more out there to buy than I have time or money. So like, I have to take what is easier, right? Like, because I can spend more money than I have. Like, it's not always. I mean, I'm saying on you could take more risk because there is potential in those costume jewelry lots. I think I've done it before, so I've bought many of them, and I found that the profit margin was a lot lower because of the business strategy I have. Is I am more interested in the precious metals, the silver and gold and high-end costume jewelry in those lots, and I'm not a seller of the low quality. You have to have a mechanism for dealing with the bulk of the material, right? And the way I dealt with it was throwing it in the trash. So I threw out probably 100 pounds of costume jewelry because there's just the quality of it was so low that I couldn't do anything with it for my business. If you have a business that makes it so that, like, let's just say you go to three different flea markets a week, and they're the busiest flea markets in the world, and you have the customers for the low end items at $5 a piece, $1 a piece. You have a giant table with $2 a piece, and you can move that stuff. I think buying costume jewelry lots on Shop Goodwill would be much more profitable for that type of person, because then they would get the good stuff and they could sell out the bad stuff and make money on both, or sell enough of the bad stuff to cover their purchases. And I think that is what the bidders that are winning those auctions are doing, is they have customers for all of it, right? I don't have customers for all of it. And so that's part of my problem with buying on Shop Goodwill. Because you're just dealing with, and if you've ever received 40 pounds of jewelry is a lot, like it's 40 pounds. And if you're buying that stuff in volume, you've got to have somewhere to put it. So I've talked about that as well, right? I only have a limited amount of space to store things. I can't just be buying 1,000 pounds, like tons of costume jewelry. You got to have somewhere to put it. Are there any other sites that sell in bulk? There are a few. There's Salvation Army. Salvation Army only does like 7 or 8 auctions a week. Some people do that. What's it called? The blue box. Some people do the blue box, which is like they do like every Thursday they will sell mystery boxes of costume jewelry for $40 or whatever. I've done a few of those. Can be profitable. Same thing in volume. Like you have to do a lot of volume, and you got to have customers for the junk. I don't have customers for the junk. And then there is. What else is there? I think there's a website called, I think it's called Police Room Auctions or something like that. There's like a police auction. There's also an airport auction. There's like different airports have auctions. So if you look up your local like LAX, Los Angeles International Airports auctions, lost and found auctions, baggage claim auctions, or whatever, you can find bulk in those areas. Here's another listing, 23.6 grams at $1,119. This is from a Goodwill. I think this is going to be priced too high for me. This is 23.6 grams. It's $1,112 scrap at a $1,108 buy price. I wouldn't be able to buy it at that price. All I'll do for this is check to see if there's any resellable pieces in here, but this all looks like scrap. So they're selling it at full scrap price, which I can't pay. The only person that would buy that kind of stuff at that price is a jeweler who's going to melt it down and then repurpose it into something else, and it's cheaper for them to buy it that way. But for me, that's too high of a price, so we'll just keep it moving on that one. Other than the airport auctions, what else is there? There's like local auctions. You can look up your county. You can go to your county, like legal, like courthouse websites, and see if they have any proceedings for seized asset auctions. There's ways to look at that. There's a website called Live Auctioneers. There's a website called what is it called? I forget. I don't know. There's a lot of different auction buying websites for different things, but those are some of the areas you can look for. There are a few international options, and estate sales, garage sales, going to local thrift stores, talking to people. Yeah, there's more than you can possibly get to. Where should we contact? So you can contact me at thrifthunter4u@gmail.com. I think I have it posted in various places. Thrifthunter, the number 4, YOU@gmail.com is my business email. Kind of use it for some junk nowadays. Pretty much no one ever emails me, so feel free to check it out. Don't send me any weird, this person just sent me a weird link. I made a loom just for you. I don't know what that means. Offeraccelerator.com. Yeah, that I'm not going with that one. Be careful if people send you weird links. But yeah, I've posted my Gmail address all over the place. I never get any emails. There's a couple of people that maybe two people I get emails from that sell me their gold directly. Yeah, so I think I went over kind of some of that stuff. Buying is a little bit buying gold is more complicated than it may seem. It's also easy. It's easy and complicated because you have to know a lot of things about how much stones weigh, how much watch mechanisms weigh, what stuff looks like when you break it apart, what carats look like. That's a big issue on eBay right now. I don't know if anybody has run into this too much, but pretty much all of the gold is going through, most high-end items are going through eBay's authentication services. And there are quite a few issues with eBay authentication services. One of those is that every single carat of the listing, the carat of the gold, if it's 14 karat or 18 karat, has to be within 0.5 carats of that, what the description says it was. Otherwise, they will reject the item. In some cases, they will ask you if you want to accept the item. And so there are a lot of issues with sellers that are listing things as 14 karat or 18 karat, and they're coming in at 13.2 karat or 17.2 karat or something like that, where they are coming in under. And that is something that, as a scrap dealer, I deal with all the time. And if you are trying to get into doing what I'm doing and buying stuff, you have to understand how that works. So when I aggregate a bunch of jewelry, I have 10 karat gold, I have 14 karat gold, I have 18 karat gold. Maybe there's a few stones or enameling or spring rings or something that I couldn't get out of the scrap, and so we bundled it up. When you take that and melt it into a bar and get the exact purity out of that, even though you had 50 grams of 18 karat, you had a coin, a 24 karat coin in that lot, whatever. When you melt it down, you're going to get it back at 54%, 55%. It's going to come in at below 14 karat, even though you are selling or you are melting 10 karat, 14 karat, and 18 karat, and maybe some 24 karat. When you melt it all together, when you take into account the metal in the springs, there's metal in hinges on pocket watches. There is prongs that, like when the prong head is soldered onto a ring shank, that could be used from a lower carat. Like if there's a repair made with 10 carats, so there's all these things that the typical seller that's newer into this business doesn't, or seller or buyer, doesn't understand how that works. And it's even worse for silver. Typically with silver, even if you melt, no matter what you melt with silver, it's almost always coming in 80%. I don't care if you're melting a completely sterling silver flatware set with no stones, it's still not coming in 92.5%. Like when you get it melted and assayed, it's coming in 87%, 88% after you melt it. It's just part of how these things were manufactured, how clean the material was going in. If there was dirt, dust, carbon, whatever that got mixed into the mix, how clean their facilities were. Like there's a lot of things when it comes to the purity of silver and gold that a lot of people in this industry don't understand. And so you have to be very careful. Basically, it's not that complicated. You just have to input a little bit of a discount and explain. I do my best to explain that to people. Some people just don't want to hear it. Some people don't care. Whatever. So most of the time what I'll do is I'll just factor that into the prices when I'm offering them. That's why I can't pay super top dollar on everything. Here's a set of 18 karat gold bangles, 18 grams. Current price is at $1,100. Let's see. It's a 1090 scrap. These are just some random bangle set. They're saying, okay, so they're marked 18K. There's a certain type of 18K 750 mark that is I'm familiar with. It looks like a Chinese mark. And these Chinese 18K export marks are never what the gold is going to say that they are. I would almost guarantee that these bangles are going to come in at 17 karat gold. They're not going to come in at 18 karat. And that's just something that I'm familiar with, these type of markings. And you can also get pretty good at identifying the color. When something is 18 karat gold, it should be very, very bright yellow. And when you're used to seeing real 18 karat, like true 18 karat gold, you can tell. And when testing gold with 18 karat acid, and you're testing an 18 karat piece, what 17 karat gold looks like is it kind of just like flashes a little bit. The line stays and it doesn't even really turn brown because you're so close in karat. It just changes a little bit. Like right when you hit the acid on that line, it just kind of flickers. And it just like maybe the color dims just a tiny bit. And I can go, okay, I know that that's almost 18 karat, but it's not quite, And so like when you hit 18 karat gold with 18 karat gold acid, it should just shine bright yellow straight through that acid. It shouldn't dull, it shouldn't flicker, it shouldn't smoke, like nothing should happen when it's a true 18 karat piece. So that's another tip for those of you who are doing acid testing and aren't sure. When it's 10 karat, you're testing it with 14 karat acid, it'll turn brown or like very very clearly it's not a 14 karat gold. So that's a little bit easier. But when you're testing that stuff that's a little bit in between, it takes a little bit more finesse. I'm getting 80% of spot for right now for gold jewelry. Should I look for another buyer? I mean, I pay more than 80% for sure. So that would be, I would pay. It depends, right? I've said this. So if it's more than 1,000, I can pay 90%, no problem. Shipped, right? So you have to factor in what it costs for you to ship. If you're shipping something fully insured, it's something like $2.50 per $100 of insurance. And if you're sending anything over, what is it? Maybe $2,500, you have to send it registered, which registered has a different shipping process that has to be, you have to use a paper tape, which is a pain, which I found out recently is a pain to use. So you have to factor all of that in, but yeah, I would pay more than that through the mail, So 80% is not a good price, no. How do you spot fake 18K? I'm guessing that says white gold. Is that what that says? Yeah, white gold. 18K white gold, I would just say you have to be very cautious of it. And I tell people this a lot because I think new sellers get this part confused. You should be looking for stuff that is obvious. Don't look too hard for these outliers until you get a lot more experienced, especially when you're risking a lot of money. So I would never risk more than $1,000 on something I thought was questionable. Okay. So for 18K white gold, depends on the type of piece. So if we're talking like a bracelet, this should say 18K, it should say 750. It should have a maker's mark. It should have a country of origin. So it should be 18K 750 by this maker from Italy, right? That's the 4 standards of a well hallmarked piece. So it should have all of those things. The quality should tell you a lot about whether or not it's authentic. The color of it should tell you about if it's authentic or not. The stones, if there are any stones, should tell you the quality of those stones should tell you a lot about whether or not it's authentic. So those are some of the cases. Also, it's not that hard to test white gold. with that regular acid, you just got to test a little bit deeper. So you just spend a little bit more time scratching. Make sure you scratch the hell out of that thing. It's just what you got to do to get an accurate test. If you're buying that from someone, explain to them, I'm sorry, this piece is covered in rhodium. I need to get through that rhodium layer to get to the gold. So I may have to file this or scratch it extremely hard. It may damage the piece. Are you okay with that? If you're testing it in person or dealing with somebody through the mail or whatever, right? You just got to be upfront about everything. That's one of the best. Here's a card. Okay, we're gonna buy this here. Okay, so we purchased this item. Sorry, 1 second. Card, 14K gold. Band ring. It's got a 14K mark. It looks like gold. How good is this seller? 3,891 feedback, 99.4% positive. The 14K mark on this one in particular looks a little bit sketchy, but since one of the good things about buying this from eBay is it says this gold band is in new condition, is stamped 14K. Metal purity on the item specifics is listed at 14K. So we are covered by money back guarantee if this doesn't turn out to be good. It looks like it was maybe sized at one point, because it looks like I can see like a sizing line, but this does look good. So this was $54 for a carved gold band ring. I just have to make sure that weighs more than 2 grams, and we're in the profit on that. That was a checkout purchase, so I did a checkout without paying, and now I'm going to go ahead and confirm and pay that one, because some people specify whether or not you can check out without paying or not. So that one will be good. We'll go ahead and make that purchase. If the item turns out not to be good, we can always return it and get our money back. I have to go off of what information is available, how they're describing it. Yeah, so that just happens all the time. I may send you mine. We'll email. Yeah, for sure. It's not anything too complicated. If you got gold and I can pay you a better price, then that's going to allow you to buy more, because if you're getting paid a better price, that means you can pay more for it, and that means like everybody's happy. And so yeah, I'm happy to provide the highest prices I can. If that's a good deal for you, then feel free to reach out to me. If you need more, or you deal in larger volumes and you need to figure out what to do with that, I can help with that as well. I mean, it's you don't have to look that far. The reason why I get a certain amount that I get is because I deal in a certain amount of volume. I think that's the main factor for what percentage you can get on gold or something. Is it's the dollar amount and volume that you deal in. If you're dealing in single pieces like a ring, a band, a chain, or whatever, $100, $200 here or there that you got from a garage sale, sending it to me maybe not worth it potentially, because if I'm paying you on $100, maybe I'm paying you 88%, 89%. I got to pay a little bit less because it's such a low dollar amount. So on $100, I'm paying you $89. Then you're going to pay potentially $9 to ship it to me. So now you're just back to getting 80%. And so you could just sell that locally. If you're getting paid cash locally and it's quicker, you just take the 80% locally. But if you're selling $1,000 worth of stuff and I'm paying you, I can pay a little bit more at $1,000. So maybe I'm paying you 90%. You're getting $900, and it costs you $9 to ship. So now you're getting 88% to you after the fees. Then all of a sudden it is worth it for you to ship it to me. So it always depends on the quality of gold you're sending. Like, I pay more for nice pieces. I pay more for diamonds. Like, everything is a little bit negotiable. I'm upfront and honest. That's probably the best way to get business in this industry, is just to be 100% honest. I'm 100% open on what I'm paying, how I'm paying, why I'm paying. Any information you want to know about why I have to deduct a certain amount for the stones, why I think this item may test lower carat than it does, and what do we do if you send me something and it ends up being fake. What happens, if it ends up being better than we both thought it was? I will pay you for the difference. If we think something's 18 karat, we agree on an 18 karat price. You send it to me, I get it. I find out, oh, this is a Portuguese gold, and it's actually 19.2 karat. So I owe you an extra $20. I'll just send you over the extra $20. It's not like a big deal. There is taxes to consider, and so that would be on your end, because if I'm the buyer, I have my own resale certificate, so you pay tax on the sale. So if you're selling gold, you have to worry about taxes. You are, and I don't do your taxes for you. You declare whatever you want to declare, but you are supposed to pay a state sales tax, or if you're making a profit on that, you may be paying income tax on that item, unless you provide a resale certificate, or no, I guess what would it be? Or yeah, whatever. You handle your own taxes. That's all I'm saying. Is like, if you made a profit on that item, you're supposed to pay whatever tax. So you have to factor that in to the percentage that you're getting as well. As far as if people are setting up a buying operation and they're trying to figure out how much they have to buy, yes, you do have to figure out, you have to pay taxes on your profit, right? That's how taxes work. So just have that in mind. And the same thing if you're, let's say it's something we're not going to scrap or whatever, you're selling something for resale, you may want to provide me your resale certificate. Like if I'm selling you something, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, just always have that factored in as well, as you have to understand what your expenses are. What is it going to cost you for a box? What's it going to cost you to insure? What's it going to cost you to, how much time is it going to take you, right? Because that's a big factor for me, is time. Even just, some of you don't live that close to a post office. You might have to drive 30 minutes and 30 minutes back to go to the post office and back. Well, that hour, maybe you could have made more money doing something, or like made a higher profit selling locally, because you didn't have to take that hour drive. Okay. Lots of things to consider. This is all very helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you, I hope some people get some value out of some of the things I'm saying. I definitely am happy to talk about it, because I just want to get my own ideas out, and it helps me to, here's that same seller that I've been offering to, the one that never takes my offers. 16.3 grams, 18 karat gold rope chain. They have it priced at $1,000. It scraps at $987. I'm gonna offer them as best as I can. I'm gonna go ahead and offer them $900. So you can see I'm offering them, it's $8 shipping. So I'm offering them right around 90%. It's actually 92% of the actual scraps, 90% of what they're asking. So they have taken some of my offers before. Are they likely to take an offer from me again? Probably not, but who knows? We can always keep trying. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much what I do on a daily basis. If you want to know how you can make a lot of money working from home. It takes a lot of different strategies, and I buy a lot of different things. The scrap gold is one part of it. Scrap silver is another part of it. Costume jewelry is another part of it. Designer pieces is another part of it. Auctions are another part of it. Retailing items, wholesaling items, like doing things locally, it's all part of what I do. So if you want to make a lot of money, it takes more than one avenue. If you are just going to garage sales and you think that's going to work for your full-time business, I wish you the best of luck, but I've been to every garage sale possible, and I know it's very difficult to make enough money just going to garage sales or just going to estate sales or garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores. It can be very difficult depending on your skill level, and then also just how far you can drive, what's in your area. So those are very limiting factors. And I think buying online takes away a lot of those. So I'm looking at a Native American silver turquoise bracelet, $125, $6 shipping with a $50 starting bid. It's 97.6% feedback on an 82 feedback seller, which is not great. And the stones look a little poor. Not a bad piece, but maybe a $60 piece. So I'll pass on that one. Yeah, I would like to get into a lot of different categories, like art glass. I used to buy a lot of art glass, like art in general. Maybe carpets, like rugs and stuff. Can make a lot of money. I'm looking at a lot of 7 vintage pocket knives. This condition doesn't look good. It looked kind of good from far away. So that's what you have to do to really scale your business to where you can actually make enough money to survive. Like you gotta do it all, but you just have to get really good at time efficiencies. That's one of the things that has really opened up my whole business, is just how I think about my usage of time and what my cost per hour is for doing all kinds of different tasks. It may seem a little silly, or like, I don't know, a lot of people just don't think this way, is that your time is always ticking, right? Time is the resource that you really care about. I don't care about money, I care about time. Okay? That's something that's very important. So you have to understand, how long does it take you to drive to the post office and back? Well, what can you do if you start getting pickups? You start scheduling pickups for your packages. That could save you 20 hours a day, or not 20 hours, 20 minutes a day, right? So that could save you a couple hours a week scheduling pickups. What about, going to garage sales maybe takes you 6 hours. Well, what if you did something else with that 6 hours? What if you were buying online for those 6 hours? Like, which one's more profitable for you? What about estate sales? How far are you willing to drive for estate sales? Like, maybe you should just limit your estate sales to what comes within 45 minutes or an hour, and stop going to the estate sales that take you 2 or 3 hours to get to, because that drive time is lost money. You can think about that in a bunch of different ways, as far as like cleaning your house or something. Like, would it be better for me to pay someone to come once a week or twice a week to clean my house? Like, that's why there's this whole industry for cleaning services, right? What about getting my car washed? What if I have someone come to me, right? Obviously, those things cost money, and I don't do all of those things. It's just the way you think about how your time is spent can really free you up. If you're just like, oh, I don't have enough time for this, I don't have enough time for that. How much time are you spending on social media? Obviously, how much time are you spending on things that you shouldn't be? How much time does it take you to eat? What if you got your food delivered? What if you started doing meal prep on Sunday or Monday or whatever day is best for you, and you started, making all of your meals on one day, doing all of your dishes on one day, so that you didn't have to be cooking meals or doing dishes every single day. Things like maybe for eBay listers, having your items prepped before you start taking pictures is one of the things Daily Refinement has talked about. Having your stuff, having a set up, staged area for your photography, having, you know, your storage area organized where you can access things quicker. Like, you just have to think about all these different time efficiencies, and that's really how I evaluate opportunities. Is how much time is it going to take me to learn a new category? How much time is it going to take me to, buy stuff from Facebook Marketplace? Or how much, money can I make per hour of work for each of these activities? And how can I increase the activities I do at the same amount of time? And that's really, really, really what cracked the code for being able to go full time on eBay or buying or whatever, is being able to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things at the same time that are all, maybe not generating direct profit, but are maybe giving you ideas on how you can increase your, are positive. You're taking positive steps in multiple different ways, right? So one of the ways I'm doing this right now, as you guys can see, is I'm streaming and watching listings and checking on eBay for deals and buying. So I'm making money. The YouTube streams don't make me any money. So I'm not doing this directly to make money. I'm doing this to talk out my own ideas that is going to lead me to figure out things about my business that is going to change my life in the future, right? Because if I can think of one idea through talking this out that gives me one new search term, or gives me one new thing that saves me 30 minutes a day or anything like that, it increases your business by a ton. I've explained that in the last couple of videos, is like every little change makes outsized returns on the back end because of the volume that the system is pushing through. So if I can add, I just added, you guys saw it on this stream, like there's proof, you can go back an hour, and I added in some Disney collectibles. I added in 6 different categories of collectibles that I'm now going to start searching to start the process of learning how I could potentially make money on a different category that I'm not used to. I, up until about an hour ago, had no idea about these Disney collectibles, which, do I know if that particular category is going to work out for me and be a super profitable? I don't know that, but let's just say I get lucky and I learn about Disney collectibles, and Disney collectibles turn out to be profitable for me, and I can find 2 deals a week on Disney collectibles, and I can average $50 of profit off of those per week, right? It's 52 weeks in a year, right? 52. And I'm going to make an extra $50 profit per item. So let's say we're buying 2 items a week. That's $100 a week of extra profit. That's $5,200 a year of extra profit, or you could call it extra profit, I guess, whatever, like extra income that just appeared out of thin air because I decided I would start learning about Disney collectibles, because I'm just talking about with you guys on this YouTube channel. It gave me the idea to look for that, and now I'm making $5,000 more a year instantaneously. It doesn't always happen perfectly like that, but it has worked with other categories. I've found it works with, I've done it with fountain pens so far. I've done it with lighters. I've done it with pocket knives. I've done it with pocket watches, right? Costume jewelry. I never used to buy maybe 2 years ago. I mean, I used to buy costume jewelry, but not online. So it's all of these little incremental changes can make instantaneous results. I mean, it's crazy. That's what gets me very excited, and that's why I'm sitting here rambling for 2 hours, is because I know the value of it. I know the value of it. I just made $5,000 doing this stream, right? Like, not exactly, but like that's the concept. At least that's what I'm working with, is like figuring out what other things, because there are certain things that I just don't know about. What about fishing gear? What about ephemera? I know ephemera is a big, like, I want to learn enough about these categories to be dangerous. Like, I don't have to learn everything. I don't have to be a perfect expert in all these categories. I just have to be able to identify what is a gross difference in the price to value, right? So if there's $1,000 worth of gold and it's selling for $20, that's a very obvious thing for people who deal in jewelry. But a $20, a vintage band T-shirt that's worth $1,000 that's selling for $20, I don't understand that currently. But if I can get to the point where I can at least know enough about it to where I can see those gross differences of being like, okay, that is an amazing deal to buy this whatever vintage band T-shirt for $20, and I can sell it for a lot of money, then the more I can do that across more categories, the more money I can make at the same time, because I can stack these searches, and I can, because I'm already on eBay, right? I'm already searching. I'm already looking at auctions. So all I got to do is change the terms, right? And I may end up eventually finding something that is better than jewelry. Like, I definitely believe that there could be a different category that is better, and some of those categories, like I explained towards the beginning of this stream, that I'm looking at currently is clothing, and electronics, and trading cards. I'll list off some of the top selling categories: sports memorabilia and cards, sports trading cards, trading single cards, toys and hobbies, collectible card games, collectible card game individual cards, cell phones and accessories, cell phones and smartphones, business and industrial, office equipment, calculators, video games and consoles, video games, computers and tablets, laptops and netbooks, more computer stuff, printers, scanners, supplies, printer ink, cameras and digital cameras, computers, tablets, networking, computer components, CPUs and processors. Then there's antiques, silver, flatware, music, vinyl records. Let's see, more computer stuff, health and beauty, healthcare, glucose test strips, more computer stuff, lots of computer stuff, Apple laptops, clothing, shoes, men's shoes, athletic gear, home and garden, kitchen fixtures, kitchen faucets, home and garden, home improvement, heating, cooling, and air conditioning, thermostats, computers, lots of computer stuff, enterprise computers, network servers, books and magazines, textbooks, education, reference textbooks, vintage movie and photography, coins, jewelry, wristwatches, watches, watch parts, coins, US dollars, Morgan dollars, more clothing, T-shirts, band T-shirts, bullion, scrap and recover gold, collectibles, comic books, comics, cameras, lenses and filters, film cameras, autographs, entertainment memorabilia, music, rock and pop, category, business and industrial, office equipment, label making, label makers, lighters, Zippos, consumer electronics, TV, home and video, audio, video, TV and video, DVD and Blu-ray, toys and hobbies, collectible card games, mixed card lots, toys and hobbies, action figures and accessories, antiques, silver, sterling silver, mixed lots, like all these terms. Brooches and pins, building toys and blocks, concerts, concert tickets and experiences. I don't really deal too much in that. Collections and lots, die-cast toys, car parts. So those are all categories that I think today could be wildly profitable to get into. I think I could see 3 or 4 full-time businesses in those categories right there. And so my plan is to try and cover as much of those categories as I can myself. And then at some point, most likely down the line, hire somebody to take over some of those categories and also help with selling and shipping and all of the other factors of the business. So that's kind of how I'm building out some of my resale empire. But I'm trying to do as much as I can myself currently, because finding people that are good enough at a good enough wage is kind of hard to do, at least for me, because I've never done it before. I'm sure it gets easier, but I've never hired anyone before. And it's a little bit of a complicated business to wrap your head around for some people. For some people, it makes perfect sense. So for those people that it makes perfect sense, I hope you are out there at least attempting some of these things. 18K gold rope chain necklace. This is that same person. 10.9 grams, 660 scrap. They have it listed at $700 plus shipping. So it's, again, a little overpriced for what I would pay. We're going to go ahead and offer $590 on that one, which is a lot less than what they're asking. So they're probably not going to take it. I don't think they've taken any of my other offers either, but I'm just going to keep offering because you never know. Maybe that item they want to get rid of. 10K gold ring. How are we doing?
I'm gonna go eat now.
Did you already get food?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay. Gotcha. Thought we were getting Chipotle. No. You want me to go get it?
Sure.
All right. I'll go get some food. All right, everybody. Looks like it's dinner time. I'm going to go grab us some food. It's live almost 2 hours today, so that was really great. Let's see. Tomorrow I have personal matters with family. And then Sunday will be a very busy day. So maybe I'll try and go live on Sunday. Sunday is the busiest day for buying. So if you're not out there buying on Sunday, if you want to make some money, go search some listings on eBay on Sunday. Go search on Goodwill. Also, a lot of auctions running Sunday. So there's auctions all over the place. Go check out that stuff. And hopefully I can go live on Sunday and maybe show you guys. I will at some point try and do like more live buying as well. I just have to be careful about that, about showing personal information and stuff when I'm like actually doing live bidding and live purchasing. So I know it's not ideal to just be looking at me talking, and be better to be looking at the jewelry items I'm looking at and stuff. But I would maybe have to set up a delay stuff. So I'm still working on figuring that out, because I don't want to do too much like actual live information of the live listings that I'm buying. But if you want to search around, you can probably find them. It's not that difficult. It's public stuff, but I do have to protect some of my business. So anyways, that's going to be all from me. I'm going to go get some dinner. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for watching.